Hey Internet, it's Andrew with the Knights of Drunk Watch, and we are here to discuss The Haunting of Bly Manor, Episode 2, which may be Season 2, depending on how you look at it, and it is called The Pupil. We are the Knights of the Drunk Watch, and now talk begins.
Nailed it that time.
Miles' school storyline, that is supposed to be based on James's The Pupil, which is the name of the episode.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because I knew that the show brought in more James material, to fill out the whole season. But it's interesting how they're really using that material to create backstories for characters who the backstory wasn't part of Turn of the Screw. My big question is, why do people keep following the muddy footprints outside? They never follow where they go inside.
Right, they're clearly heading in a direction.
That was literally my question, was like, why would you go where they're coming from, not going to? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, the weirder thing is that they're like full-on adult-sized footprints, but she assumes that they belong to the little kid.
They keep blaming him on the kids.
Yeah. Now, hang on. I vaguely remember there is a very small reference to footprints going both in and out. It's only said like once though, even though every time you look at the footprints, it's clearly like, they're all going in. But they do actually say footprints going in and out of the house.
If someone walks in the house with muddy footprints up the stairs, at some point their mud's got to run out.
Because technically that should end in the foyer like 5 steps in.
Yeah.
If you're going
it
by
definitely
physics.
wouldn't make it up the steps.
But it does seem like it's gotten more frequent now that they're, either that she's arrived or whatever. Because, I mean, there's a lot of muddy footprints happening.
All right, so moving on to Miles. So Miles is acting out at school, which seems to have an ultimate intent to get him sent home.
Right.
Which you find out later.
Well, I mean,
at the end of that part of the story.
At this point, I thought Miles, because I didn't trust anybody from the first episode. I thought some of these people are dead, and Miles, I kept thinking like he's being possessed. He's not. We think we're seeing Miles, but we're not always seeing Miles.
Actually, I had the exact opposite reaction, because I trusted Flora from the very beginning. Even if you would assume maybe they're like ghost children or creepy children or whatever. I liked Flora from the beginning. And right before we go into like the full story of the pupil and what he's doing at school, she says to the nanny, he's really not bad. He really, really isn't. And when she said that, I was like, whatever is going on, it's not Miles, or he's doing it for a very specific person. And he seemed really in control of himself. So that kid actor is so exceptional. I don't even have any words. But I believed in Miles. I believed he was doing something good.
So I was immediately like, okay, well, it's not that Flora was evil. It's more kind of like, no, Flora's just got a demon-possessed brother, and she's having to deal with all of that stuff, and Miles is the actual problem. That's what my thought was at the end of this episode. Kate, you're next.
We also see Flora do some little turns of just being
that is right. Yeah.
Swayed by the ghost. Like I don't. It's not the same way that Miles is like so rough.
Yeah.
But we'll just see like same thing with the butterfly pin we mentioned of her. Like she does that a few times where she's kind of like, you can't do that.
Yeah. These are my dolls.
It's fine. You can do it. I got. Turns out, you can do it. It's fine. So she does that a few times, which is also equally upsetting to just be like little girl child, and then she's like, "Oh no, it's fine."
I definitely got Damien from the Omen vibes from Miles.
Yes.
The Catholic Church and him saying the things, and it just all goes wrong. Even when I saw the little drawing, the note, "Come home," I still was like, "No, this is very Damien in the
It's
Omen."
a trap.
This is how I see Miles' arc in this episode. the house is full of ghosts. The kids clearly see these ghosts. Miles goes back to school. The sister needs him to come back. He gets the letter. He does everything he can to get sent home. He jumps out of a tree and breaks his arm. Doesn't get sent back home. So he talks to his mentor about demons being thrown into hogs and that whole story. And and he eventually, and I don't know where it falls into everything, but he says, he came to terms with death because dead doesn't mean gone, but he is upset that not everyone comes back. And he eventually kills that bird. And when they say, we're not going to punish you too hard, just apologize for it, he doubles down on what he wished he'd done to that bird, which finally gets him sent home. I think that's all Miles, because he needs to get home. Now later he gets home, and I think the man in the mirror in the window, which we learn later is Peter Quint, starts to possess him. And because there's these moments like when he has the bouquet of flowers that are very mature and very creepy and very not prepubescent.
And also Thomas locked in very early on that, and this is not the point I was going to make, but Miles gets real creepy when he puts his hand in his pocket, he takes a different stance and gets gross. Like that, he starts to say
he's got something in his front pocket for you.
Yeah. But also I in defense of Miles, I don't understand why he got, they're just 2 years apart. I think they're not significantly different in age. Why they would send him to school away from everybody after a trauma, that just doesn't really make sense. But it also doesn't make sense that he even him and Flora allowed it to happen, because clearly he can control the situation by being a monster. And so why they even allowed him to leave, I don't know. It just all seems fucked up a little bit.
So I could be,
or Jacob.
No,
I
go
could
ahead.
be wrong, but I think boys boarding school in Britain is a far more common thing than it is here. So for especially for the upper class, sending
period's far more
a
common.
young child, a young boy specifically, off to boarding school is completely not out of the ordinary, even if he hadn't have lost his parents.
Yeah, the boy goes to school, the girl gets a nanny and a governess, and also the boy gets sent back to school by his uncle, who doesn't know how to deal with the children. So
there's still that discrepancy in 87 of the boy goes off to school. I mean, because boarding school is more common over there.
First of all, I want to say that teacher dude was the best teacher I've ever seen. He was amazing. He believed in his students. He supported him. He didn't want to punish him because he could tell there was something wrong with him. He was dealing with a lot of things emotionally. So good job, Mr. Teacher. Secondly,
Father,
and I think this leads into what you guys are saying, well, especially you, Kate, why would they send him away? I think that Peter Quint, if we're making the assumption that he is taking him over or whatever in those moments, I think that happened before he left. I think that those moments of being inappropriate and strange might have also contributed to him being sent away. If he was doing weird, creepy, Damien stuff that were very much not like him. And in relationship to that is the Legion conversation, because specifically Miles says what he did to the pigs wasn't right. He feels that there are things inside him that are not him, and he doesn't like that feeling, which is exactly what happened to the pigs. And then the pigs drowned and died. So now he's wondering if he's going to die because he has this excess, spirits or whatever inside his body.
Definitely at the end of the episode, the way the episode ended, that's the thing I said right there. Miles is possessed by the man in the window, which is Peter Quint.
But that's assuming that's the only person that's possessing him. We're still not sure.
I'm not going to complicate it at this point.
It's that
Um,
Legion story that made me think there might be more than one.
The other big kind of thing that starts in this episode is the crack.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
starts to
Crack,
notice the
no crack. They're now
I
gone.
I actually had a question about this because I haven't seen the first season or does the crack have any kind of significance? Because whenever you're watching the opening credits, everybody's faces starts to dry up and crack, and I was like, this is the only time.
The actors crosses over.
Okay, so I mean the crack has absolutely no thing on the story whatsoever. Okay, it's there and then it's not there.
Hmm.
Do this. There is literally nothing that crosses over. You have no need to watch the first season to watch the future.
How do you know? You haven't seen it all.
With the first 4 episodes, I can.
We
tell.
just spent the last talkback half the time talking about the first season. What are you talking about?
We're the Knights of the Drunk Watch.
Well,
And
now,
now our talk has ended.
ended.